Yeah,
Hey, we just got back from Cancun because we lost in the playoffs, aka the Super Bowl, actually specifically. But hey, it's officially off season, baby. We got our Hawaiian shirts on.
we got the Hawaiians on. What can we say?
I'll actually bring Jackson in. We got Statsman Jackson in today because we really need the help because it's the off season. We're gonna be talking about every single free agent today that is gonna be up for grabs, and that's gonna suck. But we're gonna have a lot of new faces. I'm excited for the rebuild of the team. How are we feeling, Jackson? Dude, also shout out Chubby's. The shirt's fire.
Yeah,
That's a
that
fire
I'm
ass
not
shirt.
gonna lie.
You've
I
had that
really want
shirt for
that
a couple
shirt.
years now, and I've been like, that's a
No,
fast
no,
shirt.
this is the new one. My
That's the
girlfriend got
new
it for
one.
me for Valentine's Day because we lost the Super Bowl and I needed it. So
So you've
Yeah,
got one that's kind of like it.
I
I've been
do
bin-
have one that's exactly the same. It just doesn't say Chiefs on it.
yeah,
That's the one I'm thinking.
yeah. I've been binging some shows, and they keep playing like the Jalen Hurts Disney World commercial, and I'm just like,
Oh,
See,
that's
that's
fair.
why that's
That's
why I
fair.
go to Apple TV and binge Severance.
I
but
still
yeah,
need to start season 2 of that.
I
but we got to
so
talk some shop, guys. It's time to talk the off season. Let's just get right into it.
Yeah, I want to just talk about that for a second.
This guy is a
It
beast
seems like he just rubs butter on himself.
because he had 2 touchdowns, baby. So something I just learned apparently is that the bottom ticker that I added stays on during the intro. But if you guys don't know,
We take it.
also welcome back, watchers and listeners, to the show. I'm your host, David Pokorny of Upper Hand Chiefs. We got offensive line coach Garett Aimutis here, as always. I introduced Statsman Jackson at the top of the hour. He's going to be keeping us honest because I know you guys are going to tune into the show live and you're going to be asking, like, oh, what are our thoughts on this free agent if we've already talked about them? So we're going to have him on top of it. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, our ticker. When we started the show back in the off season of last year, I think this is episode 30. So we've done 30 whole
Big
weeks.
30.
Big 30. We're in our what? That's when you start to crash out and you get old at that age, right? At
Yep.
age 30. But hey, we're actually getting up there anyway. The ticker was there. It has every single player that the Chiefs have visited with in the offseason. It's only 4 right now. Last year, 3 of the guys on the list actually we drafted them or signed them in free agency. It was Carson Steele, it was Kingsley, and it was Xavier Worthy. So these guys could be future Chiefs. So it'll be on the bottom of the screen right now. You see Utah running back, Micah Bernard, Pitt safety, Donovan McMillan. You got Virginia Tech wide receiver, Ali Jennings, and then, of course, Colorado defensive end, BJ Green the second. So if any of those guys end up being Chiefs, that would be cool. But let's get right into the news, and then we'll get into the thing that everybody wants to talk about. I need to find my script. There it is. We're going to go over it again. We signed some guys. These are like the futures deals. They're going to be on the team for like the 90-man roster. Justin Ross, Jason Brownlee, Dion Bush, Baylor Cupp, Psyche Ika, Chu Godric, Fabian Lovett, Chris Oludokin, everyone's favorite, Darius Rush, Eric Scott, and Tyquan Thornton, one of my favorites. So those are just the guys that will be coming.
I remember when we got Darius Rush, like it was what, halfway or like a quarter of the way through the season, and we were all like, "Oh man, this guy's gonna be pretty good," and then just never showed up. So
Yeah, I liked him because he was fast and tall. He was kind of he was kind of cheese in Madden too. But I don't play Madden no more, Garrett. It's college football only. I know you're waiting for it to go to
I
PC.
know it needs to come to PC already, and the fact that they haven't done it already is a shame. But
It's honestly cruel if you had to be
yeah,
honest. So
But yeah, guys like Justin Ross. I mean, they're at this point, they're all 53 or practice squad, regulars now. We got Chu Godric, fan of the show.
yes.
Hopefully he'll be getting into a more featured role. I think he has a pretty good future here.
Well,
if he
the
sticks with
offensive
program,
line is
so.
up for grabs at this point.
That's
So
the one thing, that's for sure, and he is a tackle. So I mean, if there's any time for him to grab the rein by the tough grip, just get on in there. But other than that, Dion Bush, we've seen him before. I think he could develop as well. He's got a low key future here. I mean, obviously we haven't seen much of him, but I think, especially with possibly losing some DBs in this offseason, I think he's got a chance as well.
Well, hey, and Chiefs.arrowhead in the comments below said, we need Tyquan Thornton around. His height and speed could be used. Hey, if we could unlock something, that'd be great because currently the roster for wide receivers that actually were one time on the starting roster, it is literally just Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Nico Remigio, and Sky Moore. That's it. Those are the only guys that are returning that have
Not-
made the roster.
not
I guess
phenomenal.
Justin Ross. I guess Justin Ross counts a little bit because he was on the main roster for a little bit. But wide receivers that were on the main roster is those 4, and that's it.
So realistically, it is Worthy, Rice, and nobody, pretty much.
Yeah. So, hopefully, I mean, there will be some changes in that room too, but we're going to talk about it. Actually, let's get right into it because those are the first guys I'm going to talk about anyway. Let's turn off this ticker. Hey guys, if you're listening on Spotify, I highly recommend going to the YouTube as well. I mean, still listen to us while you're showering and driving. I mean, we definitely do appreciate that, but I don't remember how to turn off the ticker, so it's just going to stay on.
Oh, there we go. It's gone.
Let's go to slide 1. Garett, this is the first slide of free agents. There's going to be 3 slides of like lists of guys because there's
we're
too
just
many.
we have a lot of guys currently.
Yeah,
we have a lot of guys currently up for grabs, and we're just gonna go through, talk about each one, pros and cons most likely, and if we want to keep them around going into next season.
This is gonna be my favorite episode. I honestly, guys, I love the off season. It's super fun when it's the roster building time, and this is going to be one of the crazier off seasons for the Chiefs. I mean, we saw Brett Veach completely blow up the offensive line before. We've seen Brett Veach completely blow up the corner room, the wide receiver room. Like, he does what he needs to do when a position group fails us in the Super Bowl, and in this Super Bowl, a couple of positions failed us. So
he in the past, he's been able to regularly focus on a particular part of either the offense or the defense and kind of hone in on specific players that turn out, regardless of where they're drafted, to be really good. It goes to show tackle has been kind of a weak spot for him in terms of drafting. So hopefully, especially in this offseason, he can kind of rein that in and figure some stuff out. But we're going to hone in on the stuff that we need to worry about, as in who do we need to bring back. And
so first off, I mean, 5 wide receivers are free agents for the Chiefs. That's a crazy number. So, I mean, obviously some fan favorites, DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown. Let's start with Hollywood Brown. Garett, do we bring him back? He had a 1-year deal.
Okay, so I love Hollywood. I think that he can bring a lot of explosiveness and a lot of just different things to this offense. If the contract is where it needs to be for what he's shown so far, injury stuff, I think we should bring him back. If it's a reasonable contract, if he's going to be asking for an exorbitant amount of money and he's kind of shopping around, I don't think we need to bring him back. But out of the 5, I realistically think we only bring back 2 wide receivers of the 5. Preferably, I'd rather have him be one of the 2.
I could agree with that. I mean, I do believe from what I've been hearing that they do want a completely new wide receiver room as well, because there's so many free agents, and it's time to get some young faces in there. It's time to get some new faces in there. So Hollywood Brown is technically a new face in my opinion, because he really hasn't even gotten to play for us. He played in like maybe 3, 4, or 5 games max, and it's because he's been injured the entire season. I think this injury has, unfortunately, football's a business, has helped us a lot because it will drive down the value of his contract, and we might be able to bring him back for cheap. So Hollywood Brown is a yay for me. I would love to bring him back, especially because he'd be the oldest wide receiver in the room, which is crazy. All right, D-Hop, Garett, do we want to bring back DeAndre Hopkins? We both have a jersey for DeAndre Hopkins.
This is true.
So I mean,
he's been one of my favorite players in the league for a long time. I think in terms of like my 1 and 2, right? Like 1 would be Hollywood Brown to be back. Number 2, I think, is tied between 2 other guys on this list, one of those being DeAndre Hopkins. I think a lot of people can disagree with that. They're like, hey, the production that he's shown on the field this season wasn't up to par with what we need to see out of like even a number 3 wide receiver, right? But I think what a lot of people don't realize is that bringing a guy back like DeAndre Hopkins, especially with a super young wide receiver room that we have with guys like Rashee Rice, guys like Xavier Worthy, who knows if we draft a guy as well, that kind of experience that he can bring into the locker room and just teach these younger guys how to play the game of football, especially at the wide receiver position. I don't think you can ask for a guy that it would be a more willing leader and a more experienced leader than a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, he's been number 1 wide receiver, since he joined the league. I mean, a couple of years since that's been the case, but I mean, he has been a phenomenal player his whole career. So I would love to bring him back if he's cheap.
I think, Garett, you brought up a good point that may have even swayed me more in favor of bringing back DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, first off, he was playing through an injury last year as well, but he still played through it. We really didn't get to see what he was fully capable of. We saw some flashes like that Buccaneers game where he just took over. But the point that you made is Worthy's growth since we signed DeAndre Hopkins. I need to go back and track that and make a graphic about it because that's a great point. Worthy just looked like a better player since we got DeAndre Hopkins. And that's not been because Hopkins is on the field. It's because Worthy has said in many, many interviews that Hopkins has been teaching him so much about how to play football. And I think it showed up, and Worthy is maybe a better player because of Hopkins in the room. Would love to keep Hopkins in the room if that's the case. It makes the younger guys better. So we'll see how Hopkins's contract works out. I don't know if he'll demand that much money from other teams, so we'll see. But again, Hollywood and Hopkins are in the same boat of if it's cheap and a 1-year deal, I would love to bring them back. All right. Next up, Juju Smith-Schuster. We brought him back from the Patriots. He's been here a couple times now.
I think he is one of the ones that, like, of the 5, I would be okay letting him walk. I mean, he had a couple, great catches. He knows the offense, but I just feel like there are other avenues that we can explore, especially with some guys currently in free agency that are on the market that I would be more willing to, shoot some dice on, throw some chips out there. I've liked what Juju has done here, but of the 5, I think he's one of the least exciting. Probably maybe following the guy below him, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm kind of indifferent. I'd probably lean more towards no.
I'm probably a no as well. I think there's the only scenario that Juju comes back would be the same scenario he came back this year, was like a wide receiver went down in training camp and he was available. We signed him for vet minimum and he came and played a little bit when he needed to. I love Juju, and his time here was amazing. I mean, he's gotten a Super Bowl with us. He was our wide receiver 1 against the Eagles that first Super Bowl that we beat them. And, it's tough because a lot of these guys on this list are going to be players that we love. But, this is a show where we got to be real and talk about, executive decisions that are going to be made. And Juju, unfortunately, I don't think is going to be part of the future here with Kansas City. Mecole Hardman, another guy who has a bunch of stints of coming back to the Chiefs.
Yeah, he's also another one that I'm like, the roles that he fits on the offense, right? Speed demon, we have Xavier Worthy. Returner, now we have Nico Remigio, who honestly, even with his his slower speed, he has been able to pull some explosive stuff out of seemingly thin air. Once again, I mean, if it's cheap, I know he's been cheap before. He's a guy that we could just keep on for depth, right? He knows the offense the most out of probably anybody on this list. But once again, I'm pretty indifferent about Mecole Hardman. I will cherish every bit that he's done for this team over the last 5-6 years. I mean, I will. He won us a Super Bowl. We'll take that. But I think it would be time to move on.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that. I don't even need to say much more. It's Hardman's time probably and he really didn't contribute much this season, unfortunately. And when he was injured and able to come back, we chose to keep him on IR, even though he was healthy. So it's kind of it's sad. I love Mecole. I mean, but it's probably time. Justin Watson, this is a hard one. This isn't hard. I think it's just it's an interesting situation. I think people have been coming for Justin Watson's head for a while, and I think that's kind of dumb because he's been very reliable. But I think this is finally the year where we don't re-sign Watson.
Yeah. In my 1-2, right? Like my 2 receivers I want to bring back. Obviously Hollywood 1. I think tied would be D-Hop and Justin Watson. I think Justin Watson, there are times and flashes where we've talked about this before. Every one out of every 4 games, he just seems to have this clutch, awesome moment, couple good catches. Early on, a couple games before the Super Bowl, he had 2 catches on the first drive for 70 yards and a touchdown, right?
Oh, yeah. Was that the Steelers game?
Yeah, but then we never used him again after that drive, right? So he just has these couple moments. I've on the show talked about him before. I think he is the Dan Sorensen of wide receivers. Where he just does nothing, but when it's the fourth quarter or you need some clutch thing to happen, he just somehow happens to be wide open. Or with Dan Sorensen, he would always just have a clutch pick in the fourth quarter against the Chargers. That just always happened, right? But if I were to choose over the 2, I'd probably want Hopkins over Watson, but I would not be mad if we brought Watson back.
Yeah. Moving on to Jody Fortson. This guy, I think, is, again, fan favorite. It's so hard to, say negative things about these players. It's like, I'm not saying anything negative about these players, but Jody Fortson was brought in because every single tight end on our roster got injured besides Kelsey and Noah Gray. Like, I think we had Jared Wiley went down, Hendershot went down, Fortson himself went down, and like everybody got injured to the point where he had to come in and do some stuff. He did, and he was pretty good. The limited time he played in, that Saints game was good, but yeah.
I just feel like when it came to Fortson, it all boils down to availability, right? And there are times when, especially in the red zone, right? He had one of Mahomes. Oh yeah, right there is exactly what I was talking about. One of Mahomes' best throws, honestly, of his career. Fortson came down with that catch, and he was a red zone threat. But if you're not going to be on the field, we can't sign you, right?
Well,
I feel
he's also pretty older now.
He's getting up there, but it's
he's 28.
And it's just one of those Chiefs players where everyone kind of has a soft spot for him, and it's we know he could be good, but you got to stay on the field, dude. That's just kind of a thing when you sign players. It's it's become a pattern now, right? It's every single season, we get hyped about Jody Fortson, and then it just doesn't pan out.
Oh my God, he's already almost 30. Someone said in the comments.
He's 29.
Wow. So. Insane.
Which, isn't super old for a tight end, but for a tight end that's been injured a lot, 29's getting up there.
Well,
right?
For a tight end who hasn't, we're thinking about him in the sense that he's about to break out. He's still a young rookie.
Bro is not about to break out.
That's crazy.
Bro has broken out and been broken, so.
Damn. Peyton Hendershot. This one is our first RFA. So that is for players that have under 4 seasons as an NFL player. They get the RFA tag, which means if somebody offers Peyton Hendershot some money, we have the right to match that exact same offer and he would come back. But this is a weird one, Garrett, for me to say yay to, considering all the names here. You got to think realistically on how roster construction works, and he is a special teams player. We traded for him because we wanted a special teams player. I believe we got to keep our 7th round pick because he got injured, and I noticed we have a 7th round pick again. So I believe that was because we got to keep it from the trade. So basically we got him for free anyway, but I think we re-signed him to a vet minimum, or the league minimum, because he's still in his 4-year rookie time span.
Yeah.
But I think we signed him for special teams and tight end depth because we don't have any tight ends right now besides Noah Gray and Kelsey.
Yeah,
and
Wiley, he hasn't been a liability on special teams either. So
he's made a couple catches too.
Yeah, he's made a couple catches. So for this kind of signing, it's it's bygones or not. Just I'd be totally fine bringing him back on a vet minimum. I just feel like the tight end room as it is, going into next season, I honestly think this is probably the year they put Noah Gray into the 1 slot with Kelsey behind him.
Oh, good point.
So it would be, Gray, Kelsey, so probably Jared Wiley, or if we bring, I don't know, some guy like Blake Bell back. But
no, Blake
didn't Blake Bell retire? Didn't he retire or no?
I think he did. I think
he retired.
Yeah. So, and Peyton Hendershot's only 25. He's getting in that cuspy era where he could be but hey, thanks Statman Jackson for his age. Speaking of age, we got the 2 running backs. I'm surprised Kareem Hunt Lovey-Dovey is not in the group chat right now because we're about to talk about his boy. But
he's going to be so mad because he'll join later and he'll be like, have you guys talked about Kareem? Or yeah.
Well, he has some time now, but we're going to talk about Samaje Perine first. I loved this signing when we did it, and I think it played out perfectly. He didn't hit Jerick McKinnon level awesomeness, but he certainly hit he did what we needed, He had the clutch catch to seal the game against the Bills, I believe it was, in the playoffs. It was a very crucial catch. He's had some clutch moments. He's been great out of the backfield. He's had some fun touchdown catches, but I think he has 1, but still. I don't know. This is because
my kind of reasoning on this, right, is if this were any other draft year, I'd say keep him on. But with this year's draft having so many running backs that could honestly play on a lot of teams right now and are going to drop deeper in the draft, I just don't see any reason why you're bringing him back. We could get a guy like Devin Neal in the 3rd or the 4th, who is significantly better than Samaje Perine, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
And I think that would just
Devin
be much
Neal
more
could
worth it.
start. Devin Neal could start, and he'd be cheaper than Perine too.
Yeah, I just feel like unless you're bringing a lot to the table at the running back position right now, I just don't see a reason we need to re-sign.
This is going to be probably one of the craziest like free agent available like running backs that you guys will see. You're going to see a lot of guys like maybe be forced into an early retirement because of how great this running back draft class is. And I feel bad for some of those guys, but like I unfortunately think Perine and Kareem Hunt might be some of those people. But if the draft board doesn't fall the way we want to, and we don't end up getting the guys we want, I could see us bringing back Kareem Hunt or Samaje Perine late in the season. So, you know,
I honestly think we re-sign Kareem Hunt as it is.
wow,
I think just what he brings to the locker room, I feel like he's kind of been self-dedicated to the program as it is, and he's shown that he still has some tough runs in him. And I think keeping him and Pacheco and signing a running back is what we're going to do. We usually like to keep 3 on the roster. So I think keeping Pacheco and Kareem as our 1-2, and then hopefully I'd love to get Devin Neal and slide him straight into the 1 spot. But I think we bring back Kareem.
All right, that's fair. You know, I think it really depends on how the draft goes, but Kareem Hunt definitely in a running back room that is pretty thin would be the guy that I think maybe gets brought back after the draft, but not before. You know, we get to wait on him a little bit. I see our Statman Jackson wants to draft Scabedo from Arizona State with the 31st overall pick.
If we draft a first overall running back, I might jump off a
round?
bridge. First round running back.
You know, I still think he could be available in the 2nd or 3rd round. If he's available in the 3rd round, I'm all over that. I love Scabedo.
I don't want a running back in the first, like, at all. If we are not drafting
first.
Well, yeah, for sure. I'm just saying, like, we need tackle, or it needs to be a tackle. And if it's not a tackle, it needs to be corner, right? Like,
or D end or D line. We need interior D line now, dude.
We need a lot of stuff right now.
Because when we get to the next slide here, after we talk about Carson Wentz for a second, actually, let's just do it now. Carson Wentz, no.
Bye. Goodbye. See you later. Sorry.
I mean, if we had to power rank real quick the Chiefs backups, I would go Chad Henne number 1, Matt Moore number 2, Blaine Gabbert number 3, and Carson Wentz number 4.
Bro doesn't even have Chase Daniels in that list. Oh my god,
bro!
We do not need to talk about Chase Daniels. We don't need to.
We're only talking about the Chiefs backups in the Mahomes era. Daniels never played in the Mahomes era. Like, but still, I love Chase Daniels. He's a goat. But dude,
someone said, yeah, someone bring in Jameis. Absolutely, bring in Jameis to be the Chiefs backup. I'd love that,
dude. Jameis Winston. He already pitched his case to Andy Reid to sign him.
Just quick little rant. That was easily the best part about the Super Bowl week was Jameis Winston's antics in New Orleans. It was the funniest thing they have done in a super long time, and it was really enjoyable.
Oh, Chiefs Talks talking. He says interior defensive line. Oh, I can't say that on air. MFers. He no tackles in the first. Look,
yeah, I agree too, because there's just not really a tackle. Unless we trade up, I just don't see like a deep first round tackle.
No, I definitely want either, because this interior defensive line class though is also super deep. So I could see us getting someone late in the 2nd that's like Chris Jones level. Remember, we drafted Chris Jones in the 2nd round. So I really think for our first pick in this draft, it's gonna be whoever we think is the best player available. Like we're not gonna jump at position.
Veach needs to do whatever is possible to get up into at least 15 and draft a tackle. That just needs to happen. It needs to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, hey, someone said my shirt's fire. Thank you. My girlfriend got it for me. Wait, that was my girlfriend who commented that. Oh.
How did you not realize that instantly?
Because I'm trying to do like 30 things. I got like all these like
look,
graphics
we're locked in, right? We're locked in.
Yeah,
we still have 2 more slides to go through of free agents.
Yeah, so. We thought this was going to be a quick episode. It's really not. Here are some of the bigger names, guys. Ones. Man, Justin Reid. God, I loved this signing. I remember this signing when I was in a movie theater and I got out of the theater and I saw the notification on my phone that we got Justin Reid, and I was like, he's so awesome, great player. And hell, he has done so many great things for us. But We have so many safeties that are ready to take over. Jaden Hicks was drafted as the Justin Reid replacement. It looks like that's always been the plan. And so unfortunately it is.
And
Definitely.
the unfortunate part is that I really have liked what Justin Reid has done. He's brought like an attitude to this defense that not a lot of other people have had previously at that position. He kind of like replaced just like the absolute insanity that was Tyrann Mathieu and kind of replaced it with just this more like put your hard hat on, tough hitter kind of defense. And I like that a lot. And I think Jaden Hicks kind of like enveloped a lot of that mentality. We still have a lot to see on whether or not Brian Cook is a guy we can keep out there consistently. But I mean, we have guys that we've been working on a long time, like Deon Bush, that could possibly go up into that. Obviously, later in the draft, we could draft a safety, see what we got. But I just feel like in terms
it's
of
a decent safety class.
Yeah, he's gonna want, I think, a good contract, and I just don't think we can give it to him.
I also forgot this. We could actually move Shamari Connor back to safety where he belongs. That also is a possibility.
That's been a big thing for him too. It's like Shamari Connor would be a great safety. It's just we've been forcing him to play out of position pretty much his whole career.
Yeah. So that could be a nice move that we end up making. So yeah. Nick Bolton. Everybody wants to talk about Nick Bolton, guys. We're finally getting to the players that are juicy. I mean, I ordered it in such a way that they're by position. So I mean, it forces you to stick around to the end of the show. But Nick Bolton, this is one I've been so back and forth on. And I think what it comes down to is I think that we will get him for a pretty good hometown discount, as well as I think of it like Mike Dana. Last year, I wanted Mike Dana to be re-signed so bad, but I was like, there is no way we are going to re-sign him because he is such a good D-end that is underrated. He's going to get way more money than we can give him. Well, apparently, NFL scouts and GMs weren't looking at Mike Dana because every Chiefs defensive player gets underrated, and so we were able to bring him back at a very cheap price. Surprisingly, Nick Bolton is so underrated. I don't understand it, dude. He doesn't get media attention for being the starting middle linebacker of a dynasty.
I just feel like Nick Bolton gets a lot of hate just because his pass coverage is like a little bit under par for like a top tier, middle linebacker that you see on a lot of like these. The Ravens have one of the best linebacking cores. Yada yada yada. Whatever. He is a very secure tackler. He is the brains and mind of the defense. He controls every single thing that goes on. He knows the system. Spags trusts him. I just don't see any reason why we don't bring him back. And I think we will get him at a pretty good discount as well. I love Nick Bolton. I've loved him since we drafted him. And to see like a lot of Chiefs Kingdom kind of like over hate just because the dude gets burnt sometimes on stuff that really isn't his game, I think it's a little unfair to a guy that's brought us a lot of success.
Yeah, and then this comment just came in too. Bolton never made a Pro Bowl. That's crazy. Like he
has led the league in tackles a couple times. I mean, he is a tackling machine.
And he's been a little injured too, which would bring down his contract a little bit. And also, Jackson, our stats man, just said too, like average second contract for a linebacker is in the $10 to $12 million range. I think we get him for like 8 to 9, maybe. And if it is 10, I think we are choosing Bolton over Trey Smith because it gives us more roster flexibility, and I think that's what is going to have to happen. So, but we'll get into Trey Smith when we get to the third slide because I have to make you guys wait. Jack Cochran, he's coming back.
He's coming back.
This is like the most easy one I think there is. He's an RFA.
RFA, been phenomenal on special teams. I mean, he's made some good plays on defense as well, so he's coming back.
I mean, he'll
be super cheap.
And he'll do his job, I mean, we don't even have to say much about Jack Cochran, but I love me some Jack Cochran. Spencer Schrader, guys.
Classic practice squad guy, baby.
Listen, I want him back. I think we will get him. So it's our first EFRA, which means a lot of things, honestly, that I have to remind myself of. But I'll have Jackson correct me on what an EFRA actually is. But Spencer Schrader, I want him so bad because I think he could actually he wouldn't push Butker out of the job, but he'll definitely push a little bit. And I think he'll
add some pressure in there.
I think we'll re-sign him to the 90-man roster thing. And then he won't make the final team. We'll try to get him on the practice squad, but we'll get him a new career, a new job elsewhere as a starting kicker. So I think
when he came in when Butker was hurt, he locked in, dude. I mean, he was money. on a lot of his
because the EFRA, it's an exclusive rights thing. So we have his rights, and we can basically sign him to, I believe it's the like league minimum. And so and hey, same thing with Matt Ariza.
Yeah, he's coming back. He's been a baller all year.
Extension. He needs an extension. It is time to lock in.
We need an extension before he goes out and is able to get a lot more money than we can pay him.
Yes, I think we
same thing with Tommy Townsend. Like, he's going to be getting these huge punt numbers, and we need to sign him to a longer extension before that happens.
Yeah, and then that's what happened with Tommy Townsend. Like, he ended up getting like that huge contract at the Texans, so we weren't able to do it. Yeah, and Chiefs Talk says he bets he's coming back. I don't know who he's talking about. I hope he meant...
I think he was talking about Jack
Bolton?
or Spencer Schrader, but
okay, Spencer Schrader. I think he's coming back too. But Matt Ariza, I really hope he comes back. I hope like a 3-year extension where he's making like almost $1 million every single year, maybe a little under. I think it'd be perfect.
I think the second part of his game is really underrated too, because it's really like not often that you see a punter consistently sprinting downfield to try and make tackles, but Ariza does that a lot. And I kind of like a punter with a little bit of like spunk, a little bit of feist in him, you know? Like the dude he's like, yeah, I'm going to boot this ball, but I'm going to try and take out your legs. You know what I mean? I like that a lot.
Pat McAfee 2.0.
Yes.
I mean, if he brings a little bit more swag to the position, yeah. But I mean, he's had a lot of tackles, so.
Yeah, if I want to put Jackson in the box, I get to remove myself.
Bye,
So
David.
bye. So yeah, I love that. I think Matt Ariza definitely is a re-sign. Chiefs Talk just clarified he met Schrader's coming back. I agree, and I think, you know, to round out our special teams, James Winchester. When is this guy when is he gonna retire?
He's coming back, dude. But like, he doesn't have to. I mean, like the one thing he does, and he does it really well, is long snap. And you don't get hit on long snapping. You can't touch the center. So like, the dude could just play forever and consistently get like his whatever $460,000 a year or whatever we're paying him. It's probably like a little more, but like, he's good and he's fit and he can do it forever if he wants. I don't really care. Bring him back.
I randomly saw a guy in a Austin Chiefs bar with a James Winchester jersey. So
that's fire. That's a fire jersey.
It is. It's a crazy one. It's because he was a long snapper as well in like high school or something. And he's like, my parents, I said, get me the most random Chiefs jersey, and they got me that one. I was like, that's fire. That's a great pick. So yeah, that's our special teams rounded out. Garrett, we were talking about earlier drafting a defensive lineman in the interior. I think part of that has to do with we're going to see some of these guys go. Derek Nottie, I like to call him the 1-year deal master. I think he's been on a 1-year deal.
He just consistently is always right on the fringe. Like
but like I think we signed him to 3 1-year deals already in a row. Yeah. And I mean, hey, he plays sometimes. He hasn't really played as much lately. He's slowly been losing his job, honestly, to Turk Wharton, who is coming up on the list.
I love Turk Wharton. But I feel like of the 3 that are free agents, like, I mean, we don't need to talk about Marlon because, I mean, he barely even plays. But, like, guys like...
Well, he doesn't play. He was just a healthy scratch every
guys
game.
like Noddy and Mike Pennell and Wharton, right? I think we keep 2 out of the 3. I think Noddy, for me, is the odd one out. I think Mike Pennell has shown up in moments that are most needed. He is a phenomenal run stuffer. I think Turk Wharton has shown up in really big games, and he's excelled exclusively. I just think Derek Notty's kind of fallen behind the pack in a way.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. He started to lose his snaps. It's kind of just he's slowly been declining, and it's tough to see because there was some time when we first drafted him that he looked like he could really be a stud, and he was. And maybe that's just due to, you know, injuries, and maybe it's just I just remember drafting him like it was yesterday, and we're already at the point where he's had a full career as a player. So, you know, kind of sad. And yes, Jackson brought up, we'll go right into Mike Pennell. Pennell is 33, but I feel like he did miss a ton of his early career due to like.
But he's a dog though, so that doesn't matter. Mike Pennell, friend of the show, he's a dog.
Yeah, I would love to have him brought back. I believe like this year too, he might get brought back after training camp. You know, a little bit later to fill out that room. Even still, I'd like to bring it back. And Marlon, He'll probably maybe make the 90-man roster as like a guy
Tui
that would bring back.
Pelotu? Tui Pelotu? Is that how you say that last name? Probably not. I probably just butchered that. But like,
Honestly, I think it is that how you say that.
Tui
But I
Pelotu?
mean, I don't think I mean he probably make the 90-man roster, but I don't think he makes the final squad again. I don't know how. And
Yeah.
I actually, you know what, Chiefs talk, I agree with this take too. He said his boy Fabian Lovett is gonna push for that DT room. And I think yeah, Fabian Lovett was a rookie last year at Florida State that we got at the UDFA. I think he might push for Marlon's job next year too. So
Think
that's
so?
a good take.
I could see it. Yeah. Random take before we get into our third slide. We need to bring back Colin Saunders. I love him so much. He was
I
one of my
love
favorite.
that.
Like, I love Colin Saunders. Bring back Binky, dude.
Dude, but he signed like a
I
3-year deal with the
I
Saints, so he's
but, like,
stuck on the Saints.
He's so funny, and he's such a he's just a fun player. He's like that one of those like really athletic big D tackles that Veach loves to sign and Spags loves to use. Dude, I feel like dude is already having like that Kareem Hunt syndrome where like he's like, man, I really should have just stayed in KC. Like he's
Dude.
all over Twitter being like, man, bring me back. Like bring me back, please.
I hate it. I understand why he left too, because dude, the Saints paid him a bag, and that was what I thought Dana was gonna get. I thought that other scouts of other teams were actually watching our D line and going
But
like,
they're
oh,
like,
these
nah,
guys.
Colin Saunders.
No, they were right though. He deserved the bag. I'm just surprised they also didn't see it with Dana too. But like, dude, Colin Saunders got a pick against us. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I love Colin
in the
Saunders
Saints game,
so much.
dude. I wasn't even mad. I was like, you know what? Good shit.
Good
Colin
job, Binky.
Saunders.
Good job,
Yeah.
Binky.
Anyway,
God.
yeah, I could talk Colin Saunders all day, dude. He's so funny. Anyway, let's go to the final slide.
Probably the most controversial free agent this year for us, it seems, in the Chiefs space. I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off right now. I see a lot of people talking like, what are the chances we use a franchise tag or a tag and trade? 0. I don't think we tag him. I don't think we trade him. I think we let him walk. I just think the money that he is going to get as a premier tackle, we just don't have if we want to improve in the ways that we need to. Trey Smith has been a phenomenal player for us. I have been in love with him since the signing. Super late round guy, dropped because of some just stupid health issues that dropped him for no reason, but put him right in our lap. I just don't see any way we bring him back. And I would say, yeah, he's been, a cornerstone of our offensive line, but I would rather have a really good outside tackle than 3 really good inside guys. Like, we can still keep Tooney, we can still keep Humphrey, and get a tackle, but we can't also have Trey Smith.
Yeah, I completely agree. He is going to be out of our price range. We saw Robert Hunt get $20 million last year. Trey Smith is going to get more a year easily. I think Chiefs Talk is saying in the comments of our show right now, he's going to reset the market. And I agree, Garrett. We're not going to tag and trade him. We're going to let him respectfully get the bag he deserves. He was a 6th-round draft pick. He hasn't been getting paid much. He has been a luxury item on this team. He has been amazing. He's been a great guard for us. Go get paid, sir. Go off and get a bag. And for
what is the downside of tagging Smith and then trading him? Because we're gonna tag him, lose all of our cap space, and then the teams won't trade for him.
Yes, basically, if you're tagging him, you don't have that money to work with signing other people. It's blocking up that money. The upside is this: Trey Smith is going to get us a compensatory pick, and it's going to be a good, solid 4th-round compensatory pick. That's when the picks start coming in, and that is totally fine. That is totally fine with me. It's going to be put in the formula. If you lose a high free agent, you get some compensatory picks. So he'll get us some good compensatory picks, and that's enough for me.
And I agree with Chiefs Talk again. He is going to reset the guard market. It is going to be an astronomical deal. It will, because he has just been lights out his whole career. And he's still, 24, 25. So he's going to have a really great career.
Now, moving on to Mike Caliendo, who had to step into some big shoes. I mean, exclusive rights free agent, so, he's ours if we want him. I want him, bring him back. He's been a great, plug-and-play guard. I like to see him as, a Nick Allegretti type. And hopefully, by the end of his, time with the Chiefs, he can go off and be a starter elsewhere. He's not there yet. It's only been his 2nd season, so let's bring him back and let's.
Yeah, I mean he's another one of those guys that he knows the offense. In terms of scheme, the Chiefs is really hard to learn, and with a guy that you can pretty much plug and play at any position right now, I just don't see any reason to let him walk, especially for the price we're gonna get him at, which is gonna be almost nothing. But I say we bring him back.
Yeah, absolutely. DJ Humphries, left tackle.
Goodbye.
Oh. Garett's quick on that one.
We need. Let me explain that real quick. I think that was a little unfair to jump the gun, right? When we signed DJ Humphries, everyone knew that it was going to be a quick fix. This was like a doomsday scenario situation. Needed to fill him in, just testing the waters. It didn't work. Obviously, he got injured. I know that's unfair, but like when he was playing, was he really that much better than anything we had there? I don't think so. We need to save as much cap and money as possible, and I don't want him back.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was an emergency signing. We paid him a lot of money to be an emergency signing. It didn't work out. Hey, when you're chasing greatness, when you're chasing a three-peat, that's what you got to do. So, I mean, he's not coming back. I've seen some people in my comment section in my community saying that they think he might even push for the starting left tackle next year. That's just unrealistic. If we roll out that way, we're not winning the Super Bowl. I'm sorry to say that. We're not even going to maybe make the AFC Championship if that's the case. It's no disrespect to DJ Humphries, but that's just showing a total lack of like trying to fix the offensive line. And we've seen Veach completely redo the offensive line. I need to go back again. I'm getting some great graphics ideas, guys, making this show. I need to compare our 2019 to our 2020, or I guess our 2020 to 2021 offensive lines after we lost the Super Bowl to the Buccaneers. Like, we need to see that absolute like revamp, because it's going to happen again. The only two sure starters on this team right now are Creed Humphrey and Joe Thuney. And any position's up for grabs, in my opinion. So you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, but I mean, we have guys that could fit those roles currently here, but we need to look elsewhere as well.
All right, we are hitting DBs. I know some people are asking about DBs like crazy right now, so we should just recap, I guess, some of the other defensive backs that we talked about earlier. Justin Reid, we said no on because of Jaden Hicks and Chamari Connor and Brian Cook in the wings, ready to take over. And getting into
and we know Justin Reid's going to get a bag, and we can't really afford to spend that right now.
Well, maybe not like a bag per se, but like just
it's more of a bag than we're willing to give.
Yes, exactly. And respectfully, we can replace a safety a lot easier than we can when we need to be tight with money on offensive line and stuff like that. So Najee Johnson, though, works into this equation in the sense where he does play safety and he does play corner. I think he's brought back. He's a restricted free agent. So unless he gets an insane offer from another team, I don't really see him going anywhere else. So I think we bring him back really cheap. And he slides into that, corner room that will be pretty competitive next year. But yeah, Jaden Hicks is going to take over as probably one of the starting safeties. I think he's going to be really good next year. And I mean, that's...
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. It's just, it's kind of weird with our DB room right now. It's like a lot of guys were playing out of position, and I think they get a lot of slack and a lot of heat for kind of being forced into these roles, right? So it'll be exciting to see Chamari Connor moved back to where he belongs. And I think Najee, I mean, obviously these guys are still really young, and they have a lot of time to develop. I still think we get some guy like a kid in the draft that could improve our position pretty highly. We need someone to match Trent McDuffie that isn't Jalen Watson. Obviously, I mean,
I think Jalen Watson
I like Jalen Watson
hurt.
a lot, but he was hurt and he wasn't at full speed. And we know what he can do when he's healthy and 100%. But I think having one more really nice depth piece would benefit us a lot.
I think we're really lacking the Swiss Army knife that L'Jarius Sneed was in the slot. I know there's a lot of great corners and DB safety hybrids in this class. Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame comes to mind. Jade Barron out of Texas is like my draft crush at that position, because Jade Barron played safety, he played slot, he played outside corner. We're missing that like Swiss Army knife corner that we used to always have once we lost Sneed. And we're like putting McDuffie there. We're putting McDuffie there, but dude, he's a lockdown outside.
He's an outside.
Leave him out there. He can do it all.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing with Spags' defense, though, is like we rotate a lot of guys on the field at the same time. It's like when a person lines up at the initial start of a play, that's not where they're ending up position wise. like just brings into mind there was a play I saw where Spags had a cover 4 that rolled into a disguised cover 4, right? So like it's just there's so many different complex things that he does, and it's like rotating corners to safety, safety's down to corner, you know, sometimes outside linebacker out to safety or D end out to corner for some reason, right?
When George Karlaftis was in one-on-one coverage on a wide
one-on-one
receiver.
coverage. Yeah, but to our benefit and our negative, right? But I feel like a lot of our younger corners get a lot of slack for that, and it's probably one of the hardest schemes to learn in the NFL. But I think they're gonna next year they're gonna lock it in, I think.
All right. Let's go with Keith Taylor. This is just a quick probably not for me. I mean, he was on the main roster. I mean, he was a guy that we signed in camp that ended up earning a spot, surprised by many. He played with the Panthers some significant starting snaps. I'll give him that. He is still decently young. I could see him maybe being on the 90-day team again, maybe the practice squad. I don't think he makes the final roster next year.
I don't think so either.
So that's
just pretty quick on Keith Taylor. It's about it. Turk Wharton, bring him back. He's been phenomenal. He's only getting better.
Extend this brother.
Yes.
He
oh my
needs
God.
I want a
Please
4-year
give him
deal.
a long contract.
Yes.
Because if we give him like a 1-year deal or a 2, he's gone. He's gone because he has been excelling at a rate that has been exponential. The next season is going to be great for him, and then other GMs are going to take notice and they're going to throw him a bag, and we're going to lose him if we don't extend him.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I think too, Missouri S&T was his college. Like, bro, undrafted, like he's a great story, and to push to be the starting defensive tackle alongside Chris Jones has been an amazing story. Hometown kid, bring him back, extend him, pay him. Turk Wharton, go. I like this guy a lot. I like what he brings to the table. All right, Garrett, we're going to skip over Amenahue because I'm realizing that it's going to be anticlimactic if the last person we talk about is Malik Herring.
So, real quick on just both of those guys, we don't need Uche or Malik.
I mean, yeah, I think
Uche didn't play. He was a cardio specialist essentially. And,
healthy scratch
Malik,
in very many games towards the end of the season. Which,
and it's the same thing with Malik Herring. It's like the dude never played. So
yeah, and I mean that's tough. I mean, it was a trade we tried to make something happen. It didn't end up working out, and I know that some people are saying that Veach might have went behind Spags' like best wishes because it's just not a DN that Spags likes. He's only 6'3", he's undersized. So yeah, I was super excited for this signing. I'm sad it didn't work out. Malik Herring, another UDFA who really went on the scene. UDFA from like many years back. He's been on the team for a little bit now. I think the D end room is going to get a lot better, and this might be the season where he finally gets pushed out of his starting or his roster spot. He never really started, but so I think both of these guys might be fighting for a 90-day roster spot. With Uche, I don't think he even gets that. So
yeah,
Charles Amenahue, this one's hard. This one's so hard. This one might be one of the hardest ones because he's underrated, but he might get paid.
If this is another one of those things earlier, like we talked about with Hollywood, right? If we can get him at a contract that is within reason for us, I would love to have Amenahue back. He is like the prototypical Spags D end. He is exactly what he looks like. You know, he's tall, long arms, can get around a guy easily. You know, he can control, set edges. But I just feel like if he's not in our price range, I don't think we need to bring him back. But if he is, he's been playing phenomenal, so I'd love to see him back.
Yeah, and I want to give him some time to recover from that injury too. I mean, you saw how much he wanted to play and win the Super Bowl. He has a Super Bowl ring, but he didn't get to play in that game because of his injury against the Ravens the week before. So I would love to get Amenahue a Super Bowl ring that he feels like he's earned. And I'd love just for him to be back on the team as well. We talked about depth at the DM position. Him being out forced us to trade for Josh Uche. So, I mean, him being back would be nice.
Yeah.
Again, hopefully on a cheap deal. So that rounds out.
That's all of them. That's all we got. Now, that's a lot of free agents, obviously. But that kind of rounds it out, right? I feel like the general consensus was that there's a few guys on there that we need to keep around, and the majority can go by the wayside, I think.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of sad, but this entire roster is going to be completely different next year. I do love it though. I love getting excited about new rookies, new free agents, new faces. I mean, think about when like we signed Juju, like think about when we signed like dude, Sammy Watkins all the way back. I got so excited for the Sammy Watkins signing. Like and you know, players like we don't really sign that many free agents, but like players like Amenahue, I guess, is an example. I'm blanking on anyone besides a wide receiver right now, but all the rookies, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, like those are some fun guys to get into. So
and hey, next week we get to talk about free agents from other teams that we think we could bring in and possibly work for us. So
yes, and we're gonna actually queue up that by finishing off with two things, Garrett. You're gonna do some sponsorship stuff, but
oh, true, totally
yes.
forgot.
But we're gonna finish off with Chiefs.Arrowhead's question to kind of get us into next week. Big reason I'd love to sign Isaiah Simmons is because of how much Spags, plays with the positions of his defense. So he's asking if we would like to bring in Isaiah Simmons. We're going to talk about all the free agents next week, but we'll talk about Isaiah Simmons now. He is a kid. I think he's from Overland Park, actually. I think he is from Kansas originally. So, I mean, that would be a cool story. I think he's going to be dirt cheap, and maybe, just maybe, Spags saves his career. I see him as like a Landon Collins type. If anybody remembers Landon Collins, he was a all-pro safety.
That's a deep pick. That's a deep pick right there.
He was an all-pro safety with the Giants under Spags, but, it's because he played more of a linebacker-esque position, and towards the end of his career, Landon Collins was asked to play linebacker. Exact same thing is happening with Isaiah Simmons. I would love to see if Spags can unlock the true potential of the 8th overall pick, Isaiah Simmons. So, yes, I want him. Bring him in. I would love to see him compete.
I mean, hey, we got the space, especially at DB. Might as well try him out, right? Especially if he's cheap.
So, yeah. Garrett, will you do the honors?
I will do the honors. Hey, guys, we have our own code for Underdog Fantasy. If you guys want to go make your picks and your plays, make sure to sign up using our code UHC. You get a deposit match up to $1,000. If you sign up today or tomorrow, if you guys are really big in the NBA, they have a special. It's like half a point for our boy Wembanyama. But make sure to use our code. We finally have one. Hey, we're getting sponsors now, so it's always thanks to you guys. You guys are helping build our program and build our show, so we really appreciate you guys for that. So.
Awesome. I can come back now. Yay. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. Huge shout out to Statman Jackson, as always, sitting in the back, making lists and keeping the comments. He wasn't born here, but he went to Olathe East. I just saw your final stat that you made.
Yeah.
Before we fact check ourselves.
Olathe East. Ew. Gross.
Yeah. Ugh. Comment below what high school you went to, guys. We're gonna dox everybody. Okay, that's crazy. Upper Hand Chiefs did not say that, nor endorsing to tell me what high school you went to. Emphasis on went to. I don't need to know now. Leave a 5-star review on this podcast, as always. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow Upper Hand Chiefs on Instagram. Follow the TikTok, because why not? I post there too, but it's the same stuff as the Instagram. Actually, less content. But if you just love to doom scroll and need to hear us talk, then do it. So yeah. This is Talkin Chop. Free agents next week. We said this episode was going to be 35 minutes, and we lied.
We're yappers, man. We're always talking chop. We love to talk it.
But yeah, Jackson, what are your final wise words?
My final wise words: we have agreed, or you guys have decided to keep 12 players. Hollywood Brown, Peyton Hendershot, Kareem Hunt, Nick Bolton, Jack Cochran, Spencer Schrader, Matt Ariza, James Winchester, Mike Pennell, Mike Caliendo, the 2 Mics, Najee Johnson, and Tershawn Wharton.
Okay, cool.
That's a good list, I think, of guys we need to keep. Everyone else can leave, I think.
And with the, I think it was announced today, the cap room for next year goes.
This is true.
Yes,
it did go up.
So
got some more space, boys.
More.
Build the program.
Jackson,
we're in our rebuild
thank you,
phase.
actually.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for doing that one, because that's actually super helpful. I did not keep track at all of who we said yes to. That's not a bad list.
I can run the numbers next week and see how far over the cap you guys want.
Yeah, we will see. We will see.
Yeah, based on their average draft. All right, we got to get out of here.
All right.
This is Talkin Chop.
Thanks for watching,
Peace
boys.
out.
Peace.